Hey everybody, good morning. I have a continuation to our sweet spot article, and I got some notes here. Just try not to forget anything to mention in the video. Sweet spot has really become even more popular, I think, than when it initially came out and when Frank Overton put out the articles about it and how to utilize sweet spot, when to do it. It's a great way to build aerobic fitness. You can kind of use it to cut corners a little bit, but that's actually one of my issues with it. And if you're having a hard time completing FTP intervals, you can use sweet spot. Sweet spot, depending on who you're talking to, is 88 to 97% of your FTP. 88 is really, high tempo. Some say it cuts off around 93, 94%. We're splitting hairs at that point, but it's a great way to graduate into threshold intervals and to use sweet spot as you're going through the end of your base period and before you get into your build cycle. But I do have some problems with it, and especially because I'm not knocking any plans, because I love that there's internet plans to get people to understand that they need to have more structure rather than just going out and doing group rides and hammering all the time. But these sweet spot heavy plans are having people do way too much sweet spot. And we'll get into the reasons right now. The biggest one is plateauing. There's an issue with that. I made an error myself in doing too much sweet spot last year. I was looking at these gravel races coming up, and I'm like, I got to be able to ride at a long duration at a high intensity. And that's what sweet spot allows you to do. It's that balance of intensity and duration. But the issue was I kept doing it over and over again. And we had a lot of stuff going on with our business, and Patrick was really busy and I was really busy. And I was like, I got this. Spend the time doing these other things that we have to do to grow the business. Like, don't waste time looking at my calendar. I got this. That was a foolish move, because when you're a self-coached athlete, it's extremely hard to see the forest from the trees. When I look back now, I rode too much and I did way too much sweet spot. And the issue is, you're doing sweet spot workouts, you feel like you went on and you did a good workout, right? Like, you didn't crush yourself. You get a high TSS. It feels good. You feel like you worked out. You're like, I did sweet spot, and like, I'm getting these aerobic gains, and I'm going to be able to ride longer. And that's great. And those things are true to a certain extent, though. So if one interval is good, 4 is not better. And I've done probably close to 300 power file analyses for people all across the US and the UK. That's where our biggest readership is right now. We just have about over 20,000 people on the blog. Anyone that is coming from a sweet spot heavy plan, after, I would say the range is from like 7 to 14 months. It's surprising that some people last that long. Every time they're just like, man, I'm burnt out and I'm not hitting any more gains. And you got to remember, when you're a new cyclist, you're going to make gains if you consistently ride. You're going to make a lot of gains if you consistently do sweet spot. So it's a good product for people to sell you. But if you're looking for a long-term solution of becoming a better cyclist, doing sweet spot over and over again is not it. So when I didn't have a coach watching over me, I was a fool, and our team actually ended up getting into the Pro Joe Martin race, and I was so overtrained on garbage sweet spot. I got jetted out the back so fast. My head was spinning all weekend, and it was quite embarrassing for me because I was not even a teammate. Like, I just did not contribute. And I didn't think we were going to get into that race, and that was one of the only pro road races, stage races, in the U.S. that was really hitting off in the spring, or all year for that matter. So don't have the outcome that I had, because that stunk. All right, so number one, you can use sweet spot intervals to make those aerobic gains that we're talking about in the article, that we've talked about, of how to, elongate your long duration riding so you can ride in a break longer. Those are good things, but you can so easily plateau. And the awful thing about plateaus are you oftentimes don't see what's going wrong, because we're in the trees looking at workout to workout. We're maybe looking at a 1 to 2 week period as an athlete. You need your coach to have that zoomed out view that is so important. Where are we taking the ship? What are you doing? What have you been doing? So don't allow yourself to plateau. You're doing these pretty hard sessions, no more gains are occurring, and you're left scratching your head like, wait, what do I do? Do I go harder? Do I go easier? How do I get back on track? So don't allow sweet spot to have you hit a plateau in your performance. Sweet spot intervals are not a replacement for the long ride where you simply get tired from the duration. Yes, it is a way to shortcut and build aerobic fitness. A ride of 4+ hours is extremely beneficial, and it's really necessary if you want to take your game to the next level. If you're a cat 3 through 5, if you do a 4-hour ride 2 times a month, even 1 time a month, do a 4-hour ride at an endurance pace. I'm not asking you to go out and crush it for 4 hours. You should be tired probably by 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes. You've been consistently pedaling. It's that last hour and 15 minutes. I did one yesterday at 2:45. I was like, oof, my legs are tired. I was only doing 75% FTP. The long ride is super important. So number 2, sweet spot is not a replacement for that. Sweet spot allows us to avoid the harder threshold work because we think, well, we're doing 97%. I'm getting in that time. Yes, you are getting physiological adaptations that are similar to FTP work, and that goes back to the balance of intensity and duration. You can do more of these. You can supposedly recover faster from these. But the mental aspect of pinning it at 100 to 105%, a lot of people always think FTP is just 100. No, it goes to 105%. Pushing over, learning to push at that supra threshold level is so important that you need to do those. Really graduate from sweet spot into your threshold work. You're seeing sweet spot bursts as a really good workout. Threshold bursts are an even better workout when you can complete them, and those will allow you to ride with faster riders, stronger riders. It's going to help you get to the next level. It is 100% a huge workout that I did to be able to ride at Tour of Southland with people that are much stronger than me. We've got Olympic hopefuls, we've got Olympians, former Olympians, crazy talent. I trained my body to be able to ride harder for that week of racing. And when I get into that post, you'll see why. Day 7, my time trial was one of the best I've ever had. And it's because of the depth of the hard workouts that I did. They were not sweet spot. Last one, number 4. Too much repetition leads to mental burnout. This one is so common, not only from a physical plateau standpoint, just people that I've talked to that have done so much sweet spot that it gets to, hey, I made gains for a few months, I hit the plateau, I kind of don't even want to ride the bike. That's not good. We want to ride the bike. You got to have that hunger and desire. So don't let doing the same workout, and not even, you can switch it up, the durations and stuff and the intensities within that zone, but doing sweet spot over and over again, you're going to get to a point where man, I'm tired of doing this. And it creeps up on you. It's just not a good thing not a good place to find your mind in, right? We want to be hungry to train. So the thing is, this post could be about any type of interval. Changing things up is really good. I'm a huge fan of changing stimulus for good reason. When we get accustomed to doing the same thing, we don't respond to the stimulus that we put on our body anymore. We don't get the adaptation from the training. So if one VO2 max interval is great, 4 days doesn't make it better. Now you could block periodize, and that's a whole other discussion, and do one block of hard training, but I'm talking about week after week after week. Why don't people do that as VO2 max? It would be physically impossible to hit those numbers over and over and over and over and over again. So people do it for tempo, and I wrote an article about that. Tempo, the silent killer. I crushed myself one winter thinking I was being super snazzy and riding a bunch of tempo instead of endurance, and I got overtrained. So, I'm not saying I'm above or beyond making these mistakes. When I don't have a coach watching and helping me do what I'm supposed to be doing, hey man, I'm just like you guys. I make the errors, and that's why I'm putting these videos out, because I've done this for a long time. Somebody just commented, hey, you hit 100,000 Strava miles. So I guess that's pretty cool. I love riding a bike. I want to share my experiences, but more importantly, I want to share my failures, because that's what people back home in Rochester did. They helped me get more knowledge and grow as a cyclist. And cycling has changed my life. So please take these videos as just my way of trying to share knowledge that I've, gathered over 10 seasons of racing, 100,000 miles plus. So let me know what questions you have. Hit me up, Brendan at EVOQ.BIKE. Check out our blog. Please share this stuff. If you like it, share it with somebody else. We're trying to get our name out there and help people. And if we can help you with anything, contact me. Even if you have a simple question that you think is stupid, I've already asked it, I'm sure. If there's an article you want us to write something about, let me know. And obviously it has to be a topic that I'm knowledgeable on, or I'll learn about it and chime in my opinions. But thanks for watching, and we appreciate you. Have a great day.